started doing music when I was really young. So when really approaching it as something that I wanted to do professionally, I've probably been doing that about 10 years, but just as something that I love to do, I've been doing it since I was, 8 years old. It was maybe even 5 years old. Yeah, I used to entertain my family doing these, these little shows for anyone who was willing to watch. So yeah, so it started at a young age, and then it took different, shapes and forms throughout my life, and then eventually it was like, oh, this is really what I need to be doing. So,
was there an experience when you were young that brought that to attention, that you want, performing when you were a young age in front of your family and friends? And
I think that I had a really memorable experience that made me want to do it professionally, and that I was actually traveling in Europe, and I was at a little cafe, and I saw this American woman actually performing in this cafe, and she was performing to a whole bunch of people, and she was, there were people from, travelers from all over the world, because it was right next to this hostel, and she was playing this set, and I was watching it, and I just thought to myself, this is what I want to be doing. When I was younger, I started off studying piano. I studied voice. Guitar was something I actually picked up by myself. I got really into punk rock, and I was really into the whole DIY aesthetic, and I decided I wanted to teach myself how to play guitar, that it would be way more portable than piano. You could show up with your guitar and rock out, and so that's when I decided to teach myself based on the skills that I'd learned from taking piano lessons and voice and that kind of thing.
How long have you and the Dot Dot Dots been a band?
Well, the Dot Dot Dots is. It's taken a few different incarnations, but the incarnation that you got to see, we've all been together for about 4 years now. Yeah, and just an awesome group of people that I'm so lucky to work with on my records and stuff. They all have such a specific voice in what we do, and I really enjoy working.
And how did you come across meeting them and then, finding out, like, what, I want you to be a part of my creation, and I want you to...
Yeah, I think it started off for me as I was doing touring by myself, and I really felt like what I wanted to accomplish required more musicians. And I felt like the songs I was writing needed that, and so I came back from this one specific tour with putting a band together in mind. And the first person that I got introduced to was my drummer, Ryan Brown, and he was through a mutual friend, and we just hit it off. We became really close friends. He's amazing at what he does, and so we started playing together. Had a few other people that were playing with me, and then, things change, lineups evolve. Eventually, when we went to record a record, and we needed a new bass player, he introduced me to Steve Giles, who's now my bass player, and then I had a good friend of mine, Abby Kincaid. She was playing with us, but then she was moving on to pursue other projects, and then also Ryan. Come to think of it, I think Ryan's very responsible for the Dot Dot Dots, as I explain the story. And then Ryan actually also suggested Mark Thomas, who's my lead guitar player now. And then Laura Martin is a really amazing singer-songwriter in her own right, and we actually know each other for many years. We worked the side jobs, together in the trenches, waiting tables to make it all come together, and that's how we had originally met. And so she's kind enough to sing backups with me, and then Caitlin, who was also introduced to me through a friend who is our most recent Dot to join. Yeah.
Do you guys each kind of have your own, bring your own creation to, like, the songs and the composing the music, and just kind of
Yeah, usually the way it tends to work is I do write a lot of the songs on my own. Some of them have been collaborations. Some of them have been collaborations with Dan Garcia, who is our producer, and he's like another Dot essentially. You know, he's not on stage with us, but he's also a Dot because he's very involved in our sound and what happens on the record and the way the songs all come together. So everyone definitely has their contribution. So we start off with, you know, this song, and I definitely have very specific ideas of what I think it's going to be, and sometimes working with everyone, it takes on this whole new energy, and other times I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. You know, it takes on what was in my head. But the great thing about, I think, collaboration is getting that input, and sometimes it becomes something you actually never envisioned it to be, and that's kind of the beauty of the process.
Do you target a certain fan gender, or is it kind of all universal?
That's a good question. I feel sometimes like we have a broad spectrum of fans, and I love that. I appreciate that. I do think, you know, sometimes we get, you know, described as indie rock. And then other times you're like, oh no, this is kind of like mellow singer-songwriter stuff. But I think it's maybe a little bit of both. And so we can, in a lot of instances, appeal to people that like both of those things. And I appreciate that. I appreciate having fans that aren't necessarily from one specific, you know, pocket of people. And to be honest, I just want people to connect with the music, and I don't know that I necessarily feel like, oh, it's got to be the 18 to 25-year-olds, or it should be the 25 to 35-year-olds, and it should be the working class professional. You know, I just feel like, you know, whoever gets it and enjoys it, I hope they'll tell somebody else who will get it and enjoy it, and that way we'll, you know, reach more ears. Which is always what you're trying to do as an artist, right? Ears or eyes, depending on what part you're in, I guess.
Definitely.
I think it's that I can't really imagine myself not doing it, because it's you know, it's like eat, sleep, breathe, express yourself through music. You know? It seems like just on my list of things that have to be done on a regular basis. So once I sort of work that in, it's just all the obstacles and struggles. You just, you know, it's like someone puts their hand over your mouth, you got to pull it away because you need to breathe. So that's how I have to approach it in order to make it work.
You